Dreyer. He's the CEO and founder of Rankings.io. His company is hyper focused on SEO. They help elite personal injury law firms dominate first page rankings. Chris, thanks for taking some time out of the day to share with us.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Awesome. So I'm going to get a little bit of background, but before we do, whoever's going to watch this, if you're live, do a hashtag live. If you're on the replay, hashtag replay. This is one that you definitely want to watch. He's in an industry that's not as impacted as other industries. So you're going to learn a lot here, and I will too. And we want to focus on like three areas, like the people, product, and process, the Marcus Lemonis, right? So he's been able to put together an amazing team of people, and we'll talk about whether he's virtual or whatnot and how that's impacted how he's managing his current staff, contractors, etc. But before we get into that, can you give me a little bit of a background on who you are and how you got started?
How I got started is kind of interesting. I was a detention room teacher at a high school. I was coaching JV basketball, and I took Ed Dale's 30-day challenge to learn internet marketing. And at the end of this 30-day challenge, you're supposed to make your first $10 with affiliate marketing. You can do like $20, but it gave me the basis of knowledge to learn digital marketing. So by the end of my second year teaching, I was actually making more with affiliate marketing than I was teaching. So I pursued it full time. I had a large affiliate business, and then that first penguin algorithm came around and popped me for not doing the evergreen. And so I got on the consulting side. An agency hired me. I rose to be their top SEO. And eventually I was just like, you know what? I can do this business. I kind of learned what not to do. And I just started my own agency, and it was at the beginning attorneyrankings.org, and the website's hideous, the old one, but it was a full service digital agency for attorneys, and that's how I started.
Yeah, I remember when you were attorneyrankings.org. I think I downloaded one of your like top directory cheat sheets or something.
Oh, yeah. That's still around too. It's funny.
So you started off, so like from affiliate, that gave you your baseline, and then you transitioned. Like, why did you pick personal injury or lawyers to begin with?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the attorney space, I knew there was strong demand. You know, there's everything you read is there's more and more attorneys that entering the workplace. And so with demand, there is competition, and with competition, there's a need for digital services. So I entered at the beginning as full service, throwing paint against the wall, basically just trying to generate top line revenue to get started. And I just kind of slowly niched down. The first thing I eliminated was PPC, because then it would set up natural referral relationships without any threat of poaching with PPC only agencies. So I could refer clients to them, they could refer SEO to us. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at data and realized, design, I was thinking it would be a front end offer that was kind of a loss leader, and then I could sell services. But for us, all of our design work was from existing clients, just wanting a facelift or a new site. So we actually got rid of design next. And we went a couple of years, we were real successful at that. And I looked at the data, and I looked at our book of business, and I saw 70% of our revenue was from personal injury. Mm-hmm. So it was just a no-brainer to go all in on personal injury. Everyone, and I agree, talks about the need to have a unique selling proposition. Whether it's that individual personal brand, whether you're a Tony Robbins or your big name, that can be a USP. And that's how some people have to position themselves. But for us, it was a niche within a niche. It was not just law firm SEO where we have tons of competitors. It was personal injury SEO where we have no competitors.
Right. Okay. Now that you're in the market, you've been in the market for this niche for a while, do you see a lot of competitors competing against Rankings.io that's kind of taken away some market share or made conversations a little bit different, how they approach like pricing and how they approach interviewing or selecting a digital marketing agency?
So it depends. Some of their processes, some of them will do diagnostic audits, and some of them don't do that. Some of them do the short sales cycle, 1 or 2 call close for these smaller contracts. We find that it's critical if you really want to serve the client and generate results, not just hours or inputs or outputs that you have to do a full diagnostic. You know, an attorney wouldn't go to trial without doing a discovery. You wouldn't take your car to an auto body shop that's not working properly, and before you get out of the car, they come up to you and say, hey, it's going to be $20,000 to fix your car. So you just have to look under the hood. You have to do a diagnostic. For us, because we're just in personal injury, it creates a real efficiency game for margins because of our process creation. And we don't have to create an editorial calendar for bankruptcy firms, criminal defense firms, for patent, trademark, whatever, immigration. It's hyper specialized personal injury. Just make that one phenomenal. And even our link building outreach, everything has to do with just processizing for PI. So it just builds a lot of efficiencies and margins into your product.
Now, tell me about the type, like the profile of clients that you look for. Like, let's say there's the new lawyers that start their own firm. They're working in a shared office space. They have a virtual or a shared assistant that answers the phones, and they're saying, "Hey, Chris, I have $1,000 to throw at you, or $2,000." Like, what do you do in that scenario? Is that not your ideal customer? Or are you looking up, fishing upstream into those higher end accounts?
We're going upstream. We even say on our contact form on our website that, you know, our minimum investment is $10,000 a month, just minimum. Like, we have that in our contact form. You know, I'm trying to fast fail. We don't want to have those conversations with individuals that aren't ready or waste each other's time. So we even have on our contact form an annual revenue field, so we can kind of get an idea of who we're talking to. And we can find, you know, there is definitely agencies that can serve those clientele, but that's not us. We're looking for the people that want to dominate the market. I know everyone says they want to dominate and crush it, but we're not looking for the solos that aren't willing to really invest and really just want to absolutely destroy the competition. So we're not even looking for the farmers, the lifestyle. If we hear any of that, we refer them out.
Right. Okay, cool. Now, as far as how you're getting your customers, like I love what you mentioned. By removing services, you created alliances. So design, that was a loss leader, which you don't even do that for your existing clients anymore, right?
We do a little, but
Okay.
it is definitely not a key focus. We will improve or give our clients a facelift, you know, just to kind of give them a better SEO opportunity. But yeah, it's not a front end offer, so to speak.
Right. Okay, got it. So like, how did you go away from like, because when everybody's doing everything, they want it all, but then you mentioned economies of scale within the organization. It's just extremely inefficient when you have different, even in a niche, you have different niches in the niche. And then it just becomes harder because like from a typical marketing agency, they'll look at like, well, I specialize in lawyers. I have the editorial calendar template. I just have to replace the services. But that makes it very difficult because you have the keyword research, their focus area, their location, the competition. So it creates all that different types of chaos inside internally and management issues and time sucks. But how did you stop being a people pleaser? That seems to be what people want to do is like, hey, we're a one-stop shop for you to please the client from going somewhere else.
Well, I would say a lot of it's my personality type. Like I'm a disc DI driver. I don't have problems saying no. And I want to be the best and I want to dominate. So if we're not the best at something, I don't want to do it at all. Like I don't want to just take the money. I only want to do what we can really provide value and serve our clients. So like when we're looking for strategic partners to refer out, we're looking for the best there too. Not necessarily someone that's going to pay me. I know a lot in the digital space, people pay for these referral situations. Like, I don't even care about that. I want to get them to someone that's great, because if I send one of our clients doing SEO to someone that's a badass in PPC and they grow the business, there's more opportunities for me. And that's how I look at it.
100%. Now, how long did it take you to become this overnight success?
So I've been doing this for 15 years, and I would just say, you know, there's no overnight success, right? You're always developing your brand and, you know, the Jack Welch style of continuous improvement and eliminating waste. So it's you have to take the time to work on your business. and really understand, when things go wrong, that they're a learning experience. So you lose a client, do a post-mortem. You lose an employee, do an exit survey. So every opportunity is a learning experience, and that's what's critical, is learning from your mistakes.
Right. I was starting to ask about how you're getting your leads, but I went into a different topic. Like, how do you currently get customers right now?
We get a lot of referrals from strategic partners. I would say much more from non-clients than clients. We do get client referrals. We do a cold outreach strategy that is very customized, very giftology approach, hyper customized. It's not what spam your TAM, total addressable market, throw out an email to 20,000 people. It is, we're talking to a specific person, a specific firm, and they're getting a specific message for them. And we're doing a little bit of it all, honestly. There's that saying, 50% of your marketing's working, but you don't know which half. We're not exactly there, because we do have attribution and tracking, but who knows? We're trying to develop our brand.
Right. So like from your best source is non-client referrals. Is that what I heard?
Oh yeah.
Cool. Like, take me through that. So like whoever's listening here, they're probably in a variety of industries. So I mean, like the key takeaway so far is like niching a niche, be the best at it, because then you're going to avoid all the chaos, stress, and you won't be posting on your Facebook timeline looking for a contractor who does Botox deals. So you won't have those all the time. You can literally take it's hard to say, because like some people need money now. And if you need money now, go close deals that you can overcommit to, and really kind of get to know the client and fight your way through energy, effort, and sweat to get the results. So it'll be a little chaotic. But then when you get the time and you're at a peaceful state of mind with yourself, like find that niche that you love and you want to do in a year from now, 2 years from now, and you can talk to your friends about that. They probably want you to shut up about, but that's the good thing, is when you can rattle about your industry, then you found something you like.
Yeah, and when you're so specific, people know you as that embodiment. People know that we do personal injury marketing. There are a lot of law firm SEO agencies. The other thing is if you offer all services and you want to do a referral situation, there's always that hidden threat of poaching, right? Unintentional threat. So let's say I'm a full service agency, and we send a client somewhere else, or we do maybe 2 or 3 services, and one of them someone doesn't do. They may do a great job, and they may want to work with that agency. But since it's completely different services, there's no threat. It's an easy referral relationship. And that's what's different. So I would say the biggest thing too is everyone immediately turns to client referrals. Net promoter scores, they're an advocate, 9 or 10, let's ask for referrals. But for us, what we did was, I don't know if you read The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. So in there, he talks about his Dream 100 clientele. We created a dream, and it's not 100, but we call it a Dream 100 referral partner list. So we looked at categories, PPC, every service that we didn't provide that served our customers, understanding their needs. And we just nurtured this list. And the best way to develop a relationship is to send them leads. So we found out who was the best in their space, and we sent them leads. And they want to keep getting leads, so they want to reciprocate. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, there's this, I'm going to butcher this, but there's a Zig Ziglar quote out there that talks about, if you help enough people get it what they want, then you'll also get yours too, or whatever it is. But that's kind of, you got to give to get, really.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many sayings. What's the other one? It's like the rising tide lifts all boats, or something like that.
Yeah. Earlier you were talking, like you told me the first time I ever heard this, which makes sense. It was something about, like you were talking about earlier, about qualifying people and giving them a quote. So you really have to get to know their business. It was like diagnosis before prognosis is malpractice. Is that right?
Yeah. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice.
Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So write that stuff down, because whenever you get those clients that are are really kind of asking, hey, what's it cost to build a website? What's it cost to run Facebook ads? It's really hard to give that quote because then you're going to start with your lowest quote. It starts at, but then you got to just reframe it and understand who that client is to kind of see like, well, what's the goal versus are you trying to find the cheapest price or accomplish your actual goal?
Yeah, and you leave tons of money on the table. If you got your prices listed on the website, first of all, you're a productized agency and you're going to scale through volume.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to scale through higher end or go move upstream, you want to sell larger contracts. So it's essential to do a diagnosis in a customizer value-based pricing model.
Right. So like I know that a lot of people in this group, like their burning desires are always into like client acquisition. And now the next level isn't how do I get leads? It's like how do I pre-scrub them? How do I qualify them before they get here? And you have your method of your form. Now, once they break through your form, what does your first conversation look like? How long do you like as a framework, if we were to help somebody say, hey, I got a lead, I'm on the phone with them. Now, how do I know that this is a good lead for our business? What's kind of like do you have a time frame saying, hey, the first call is a one-on-one hour, we get to understand your business, we're going to follow this exact framework? Like do you kind of freestyle it, or do you actually have very specific like agenda where you handle calls?
Well, I wish I would say that it was scripted and we had these, but it really is a unique conversation, and it is a ton of questions. And there's a saying that the person that's talking or what the person that's talking the least is controlling the conversation, right? Because that person's probably asking the most questions. So it's getting as much information as you can. What's your goals? Do you want to dominate this market? What was your annual revenue last year? Some people are afraid of that. What do you want to invest? What are you spending at your current agency? If they don't want to talk about it, you ask them a different question.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in these big contracts, you have to be seen as an authority, a thought leader, and not an order taker. Because in order to get these big contracts, you have to drive. If you're a productized agency and you lift your prices on the site, sure, be an order taker. And maybe that's your personality type, and that model can 100% work. But it really depends. Our sales cycle is so long because we really have to understand their business before we do any type of client service agreement, and because we want it to be the right fit.
Right now, how much so do you charge them for any of this initial labor that you're putting in?
Yeah. So we charge 5,000 our base, and we'll go up from there if it's multiple locations or depending upon what they want. But we don't make anything from that at all. It is purely to obtain the information in order to give a more accurate quote for what they need.
Right. So like if I'm a personal injury lawyer, I have a location in San Diego, California, Santa Monica, and let's say San Jose. I have a 3 location. You're going to kind of drill down questions and then saying, hey, based off per location, if you want to dominate the San Diego market first or all 3, and then based on that, you can say, hey, here's an accurate assessment with where you land versus the competition and the path that you need to take to dominate.
Yeah, it's 100% what we do. So we'll do a competitive analysis on their content, their links, what awards they have, how many reviews they have, where their office location is. We also look at the individual firm we're going to work with to see what assets they have. Are they having traditional advertising in print and TV? Do they have that brand recognition? So we'll look at each market individually, and also which types of practice areas they want to focus on, because the competition for car accidents is different than med mal or nursing home abuse. So it's a thorough diagnostic. And if you don't do that, it's really hard to generate results. You're just guessing. So there's a lot of input required from our prospects.
Right. Okay. Cool. So now, what is a sales cycle for a large ticket account? Give it to you. I mean, obviously, it's going to differ from industry to industry, but whoever's listening out there, it may help them because a lot of the guys on social media and whatnot are talking about this heroic 1 call close and PIFFs and paid in fulls and all this stuff. But when you're doing a real, like what I call a real sustainable long-term business like you have, I mean, 15 years in the game, it's obviously you have some extremely well thought out, planned, and a lot of blood, sweat and tears talent there.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think I have to, this is a pretty loaded question. So I have to give some background here. So there's basically 3 pricing models. You can do inputs, which is capacity or hours. You can do outputs, which is units or deliverables. And then you can do results or value as the 3rd tier. Well, with inputs, how you grow an account is you sell more hours or more capacity. And that puts the least amount of risk, or sorry, the most risk on the client, because you can just tread your water, move your feet, and you're not getting any results. And it's the most amount of risk for the client, the least amount of risk for the agency. When you get to input, it's kind of in the middle because they know they're going to get that unit or good. That final chair or level, the results, that puts the most amount of risk on the agency. So it's required to do this longer sales cycle to get all this information to put you in a better chance to succeed. So when you're doing, downstream marketing, you can do a one or 2 call close to sell $1,000 a month contract. It's not a lot of risk for that amount of money. But if you're trying to sell a $50,000 a month contract, at least in our space in the SEO, it requires more trust, more bottom of the funnel consideration stuff, social proof, the diagnosis information for a conceptual agreement. So as a sample for ours, the moment we get a lead, first of all, that lead already knows us, probably likes us, probably already trusts us. And it's an exploratory call. Then we sell a diagnosis. Then we deliver the diagnosis on a video in person. So we have conversation. Once we obtain our conceptual agreement there. So they have to be nodding their head and understand. If they don't understand, it's more diagnosis. It's more whatever you need to do to get them to understand. Because we won't send and we don't do proposals. We won't send the client service agreement unless they understand. Once they understand, you don't need a proposal to sell your contract. Ours is 3 pages for these big contracts because they already understand what we're talking about, what the strategy is. And if you're not doing the diagnosis, you're not obtaining a conceptual agreement before this, yes, you have to use your proposal as a selling mechanism. It has to be beautiful. It has to talk about your scope and sell yourself, but it's just a different strategy whether you go upstream or downstream.
Right. So by the time you've done your diagnosis, they've already made a financial cash flow layout already. So they have some skin in the game. You have a lot of skin in the game because you're break-even business or the client on that particular strategy approach. So all parties are all on the same side. It's the honeymoon stage, right? So they're really excited to say, hey, like rather than doing, a lot of people will do free audits, right? And then it'll just be kind of a watered down cookie cutter. Here's your backlinks. Here's your 6 competitors. Here's their social following and bullshit like that, right? So that doesn't add value. It's kind of, I guess, a different ecosystem for that type of agency because they may be the $1,000 to $2,000 SEO company.
Yeah. You can processize and use Google Data Studio and use the tools to kind of do a diagnosis really automated, right? But we want our clients to have skin in the game. Like, look, we don't make hardly any money from these diagnoses. We want you to have skin in the game and be willing to commit with us. And, you've got your psychological triggers there too. I'm not going to deny it that they don't exist, your sunk costs and stuff like that. But ultimately that's why we do it, is we want them to commit as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Now, I'm going to probably come back to this topic, but I do have a question before I forget about keeping a culture. Like before all of this pandemic and all this shit arose in front of us, it was kind of like, I call it a cheap shot, just came out of nowhere and everybody is kind of at home or wherever they are, but isolated. But were you already virtual managing a team?
So I've got a headquarters where 3 of us work out of it. It's 10 minutes away. I just did that to kind of separate work and home, to get out of the house I'm in right now. But everyone was remote. So it was very easy for me to go back to the home office.
Okay, cool. And then everybody else is all situated. So right now during this time, you are already prepared to do virtualization. Everybody already has their marching orders. And then how do you do team huddles? Like, do you have one every day or how do you manage the team? and measure?
So we utilize EOS and Traction, the entrepreneurial operating system, and our meeting cadences is we have these level 10 meetings with each core function at our business every Monday. And we follow an agenda. They're very specific. We even rate the meetings to make sure that they provide value, because I don't want to waste our team's time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have regular meeting cadences through Zoom. We use Trello as our project management, mainly because I like the Kanban workflow. It just feels fulfilling. I like it. I can see the bottlenecks, by creating a column for, out for approval or quality assurance. And that's how we do it. We also communicate through Slack.
Now, what type of management software or service do you use to communicate to your clients?
So just email, and we'll do reports. We have all of our meetings with our clients on Zoom, so we can see them. We even have a rule internally that you have to turn on the video, because I want to be able to read your body language, and know if you're upset, and it just helps. And you connect with the client, because ultimately retention's about warmth and competence. If they really like you and they're your buddy or friend, they don't want to fire you. And if you're generating results, it's like the best combination if you can do both, right? But if you get great results and they don't like you, they may stick around, but they hate you.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because that's what I talk about all the time. I'm like, there's two services we offer, and it's kind of like the customer service where they like us, we're there, and then the actual result. So that's such an important part, because those two, even if they don't necessarily not like you, it's just that they don't have a relationship with you because you're a guy that kind of just hides behind Basecamp or an email.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you handle your first call, like when you're doing your initial call on Zoom as well, or are those more phone call based?
Most of those are phone call based. The diagnosis is Zoom. It depends. Sometimes we'll do an initial Zoom call. Now I'm no longer in those. So I've got an AE, director of strategy. I will come in at the end after when the diagnosis is getting delivered. Sometimes, just depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm. So being that you have you've got these leaders on your team, what does a day in the life of Chris look like?
That is a really good question. Like, my high value activities right now is mostly marketing centric. It's this kind of stuff that the other team members wouldn't have access to, the relationship stuff. It is key accounts, our biggest accounts, still keeping an eye on those. It's nurturing key employees. It's recruiting new talent. Mike Krzyzewski loses all 5 to the NBA almost every year, and then he takes a new 5 in and is competitive. So it's constantly looking at talent. And then, so I've launched 2 podcasts recently. The Rankings podcast, where I interview elite personal injury attorneys. That is definitely a thought leadership, a sales tool, a marketing tool. And then I'm launching the Chris Dreyer show, which is going to be more about my business thought leadership to appeal to mostly agency owners to set up referral relationships. So I'm spending a lot of time there right now.
Got it. So I liked what you said about the removal of services to create strategic alliances, and how you have your dream 100 of who you can refer business to create those alliances. Now, do you have a method that you utilize? Like, you just whip out an Excel, Google sheet or something and just say, all right, let's just go on Inc. Let's go on podcasts. Let's go on Google and see who does what, where. Like, how do you identify your particular referral list?
So that's just kind of being in the industry, seeing them at marketing conventions, seeing what messages they put out and hearing what our clients have to say about them. So it takes time to develop, but we have, let's see, I think 4 pipelines on Pipedrive, our CRM. We've got a prospecting one. We have, once a client is actually a lead, they'll go through a pipeline. If we lose a deal, we send them to a long-term nurture pipeline in the column for their lost reason. So if we can ever fix that, we can appeal to them. And then we have a referral pipeline, which has every category. So we're managing all this through our CRM. It's just so that, look, everyone's sphere of influence is different, and I can sit here and I can name thought leaders like yourself, but having the CRM, it's just a constant reminder. You can set up those follow-up cadences, those nurturing sequences, and we just do everything through the CRM.
Okay, good. Now, build like in everything you're using Pipedrive. So if anybody out there, you can check out Pipedrive. If a big guy like Chris, a senior CEO, uses it, it's probably worth a look. We use Active Campaign and a few other ones ourselves. So if anybody
Campaign too.
any help, like and the importance of like, so tell me this, like how often are you communicating with fresh content to your database? Like, let's say for instance you want to talk about a topic that's right now in front of us, like whether it's like how is coronavirus affecting your practice, like are you like like take somebody through the mind, because they think like emails are built like on Monday for the rest of the year and then all of a sudden they're just going, but when there's something new, what's your thought process on what you want to do? How do you kind of like create your own content calendar?
So we have a level 10 meeting with our marketing team, and that's where we discuss a lot of issues and plan our initiatives. I would be lying if I said that our content calendar was perfect. It's not. We're still struggling with that because most of our leads are from non-client referrals and then our outbound. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our content is more bottom of the funnel consideration and thought leadership. So case studies, big data science pieces to show expertise. It's not lead generating awareness, so to speak. It's more bottom of the funnel for us.
Right. Okay. Now, when you like, can you give an example? Like a lot of the guys that I know in the group are going to be dealing with, like, they're mostly going to be Facebook guys, right? They're going to be running lead generation ads and they have a whole system behind it that does the follow up. So it's going to be an SMB target audience that they're working with. How would somebody go approach a client that said, hey, you know what, we're not a good fit? What do you say saying to get a non-client referral in that stage? Do you ask it on the call? Do you put them on the nurture sequence and you just let the email kind of ask them and then see if they can get referrals that way? Or what's the approach there?
Yeah, I would have. So if you're using Active Campaign or whatever, I would have some logic-based mechanism to determine why. Mm-hmm. And then I would move them to a nurturing sequence that directly appealed to that reason, not just a global long-term nurture list. It's like a newsletter or a broadcast. It would be a news sequence for that reason.
Got it. And then how long of a nurture sequence are you currently running, just out of curiosity?
So never ending. I mean, it's very custom for us. So we don't,
Right. Yeah, it's totally different. I get it.
Yeah.
Like I just posted something in one of my private groups. I'm just going to share what you can do. And I got this from a different group, but it's something to the effect, this is just because we're talking about referrals, but it's saying, hey, Chris, we've been in touch before. And I had to ask, do you have any friends in business that would benefit from a service to acquire new business right now, even during all this craziness? So like, that's one question that you can utilize. And if that's helpful, just drop a comment and I'll copy and paste this in the group on this thread. But that's something like, because a lot of businesses are surviving right now. They're fighting. They're like even like a Tillman Fertitta, who's basically down 95% of his revenue, down $10 million a day to $2,000 a store, which he's used to doing 50,000 a day per store with 550 stores across the nation.
Yeah, I heard Simon Sinek the other day. Did you watch his webinar?
I didn't know.
He's just talked about, like everyone, like this isn't the first time that a situation like this in terms of a change in business has occurred. Look at Blockbuster, right? They didn't pivot and now Netflix blew them out of the water. Look at what's happening with taxis and Uber and Lyft. If you don't make an adjustment to your business, then it's going to die. So you have to look at how you can serve your existing clients in a different way. Maybe you're not going to see in-person visits. If you're a chiropractor, you have to think about what there is an alternative, or you have to think about shifting your marketing to top and middle of the funnel, long-term brand equity, as opposed to bottom of the funnel, trying to keep filling those shopping carts. So it's just a change in your business strategies.
Yeah, no, I like that, because I mean the top of the funnel has become more important. Like just like when people think of shoes, they may think of Nike. If they think about ordering something, they may think of Amazon. but I think like this is unfortunate. It sucks that it's going to put a lot of people and wipe their savings away, wipe their lives away. They're going to be W-2s or really depressed for a while, but everything will pass just like it did in 9/11 and 2008. I don't want to kind of echo what everybody else is trying to say on the internet.
Yeah.
But this was a disruption bound to happen. And if there is a positive, we're all experiencing it at once. So everybody got blindsided together. So if that's a positive that you can take with you, this industry was going to more Zoom. This industry was going to disruption. Now nobody was prepared, and now we have a more level playing field. So those big fuckers out there, they can't just blindside you like that Blockbuster to Netflix, the taxi to Uber and Lyft. So at least you'll be now consciously aware that you can do things and literally compete against the big boys right here now today if your industry was in a disruption. Because we work with a lot of realtors. And quite frankly, if like I will say, like I'm actually motivated to get my own real estate license. I've been working with realtors since 2002. And I never got a license. I do their marketing. And I'm a big fan of it. It's telling them you should have been virtualizing anyways. You should be FaceTiming homes. You should be doing better 360 tours instead of the bullshit ones out there. Get a better videographer, sell more homes for a higher price by investing $1,000 into a good videographer rather than trying to get a listing and do minimal marketing. So I know people who list homes for $1.5 million and spend $500 in marketing, but collect a $60,000 commission check. So it's kind of like do better marketing, and that is your brand. Just like you're hyper focused on being the best in the business, and you can now be a thought leader and thought of by all your quote unquote potential competitors that look to you. And they're like, I've remembered you from whatever your previous what was it, attorneyrankings.org. So I still remember the specific blog and the checklist and the tools that you published on the internet. I'm like, wow, this guy is like showing his kimono in some respect to show that he knows exactly what he's doing as a thought leader.
Yeah, I think differently. So I don't think of competitors because I do. We said it earlier, the rising tide, lifts all boats, whatever you want to call it. There's an opportunity. These individuals may go to a marketing convention and be asked who would be another great speaker. If I'm an asshole, they're not going to say Chris Dreyer. There's not. And I may lose. There may be a situation where we screwed up. Look, we screw up a lot and we try to learn from those mistakes and not replicate them. And I'm going to lose a client. I can still serve them and say, this agency would probably be a good fit. So that's just kind of the mindset that I take, more of an abundance mindset than a scarcity or limited.
No, I love that. I mean, that like even just yesterday myself, we had a screw up all on our fault, 100% our fault. And we dropped the ball, and the client just was like, let him get everything off his chest. And I said, this was like, whether it happened now or in the future, it's better it happened now, early in our relationship. So I said, is there a way we can remedy this to get us back on track to where we started, where we were very excited and believed in one another? Because I know that the confidence level of you to me is down. How can I serve you better? And then he was just like blown away. He's like, man, thank you for listening through all those F-bombs I just threw. That's not me. That wasn't my intention. I've had a long day. The coronavirus is impacting our business. So, I mean, it was kind of like an opportunity to kind of say, hey, look, we're here to be a punching bag in certain respects, but I know truly that I'm not, this was actually my fault. So we took pure accountability, apologized for it, asked if we can leave the past in the past and what we can do to move on. And if anything else arises, that we can please not bottle it up and actually expose things in real time versus 10 days later, 3 days later, 2 months later, because ultimately, like we were saying, like you have results where people are like, fuck, this guy's results. And then there's the asshole scale. Are you friends, or do they disconnected on the relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. And you maintain your integrity when you say that hey, we messed up. We're owning it. We're going to make it right though. And that's where you learn. That's where you gain their respect. Instead of the excuses and just keep pushing them to the side, it's just got to own it. Like everyone makes mistakes. They make mistakes too. So
Hey, like, dude, I appreciate all your time, by the way, man. This is like every time I talk to you, a lot of like people ask me like, how do I get people like Chris or anybody on the show? I'm like, you know what? It's simple. I just throw them an email and ask, and if they're interested, they'll come on and they can Google me or look me up and see if I'm any good or whatnot. But yeah, no, I love that. So thanks for all this. If for those of you guys that are gonna watch the replay here, they're in the units tab in this group. There's just one video that Chris touched on. He actually explained it really well about strategic partnerships and the Dream 100. Check out that video. It's under 10 minutes. And let me know what you guys think about that. That should help get you guys clarity on who it is you want to serve and then kind of maybe even back you into your mission and vision of like who your ideal customer is and what your goals are of not just what making money and following all those other guys that say I make 6 figures a month, but actually enjoying that 6 figures or 5 figures or 4 figures a month, whatever it is you're going to make for your business. Because I can tell you, I know a lot of millionaires that fucking hate their jobs, hate their lives, hate their staff, hate their family because they picked the wrong fucking niche. And they do too many services. So there's that to take into consideration too. So I would like one thing I heard on Darren Hardy's podcast was instead of designing your business first, then your life second, maybe design your business around the lifestyle you want to live. So if you can design your lifestyle, if you want to travel, if you want to stay put, if you want to have virtual staff versus in-house staff, there's different ways to write down what you must have as a requirement for yourself and then design the business around that as well. So hopefully that helps too.
Yeah, I love that. I saw, I know we're closing up here, but there's like an exercise. You draw a circle and like what you like doing is in the circle and what you don't is outside the circle. And then that's your business inside the circle.
Dude, yeah, I love that. I'm going to check out. Can you or message me whatever that Simon Sinek thing is that you mentioned?
Yeah, sure. I'll send you the link.
Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. Well, hey, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you again for all this time. And if we can have you back, would you come back?
Yeah, awesome. It's fun. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome, Chris. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cool. Take care, buddy.